Good morning, grade 4s. I hope you are well. Today we are going to be doing math, so I want you to get your math textbook as well as your workbook ready for me. Now let's start off by opening on page 68. Now this unit is about measuring and recording lengths. Let's look at the keywords. Length is how long something is. A unit is the amount that is used to measure something, for example, meters, centimeters, millimeters, or kilometers. And to record a measurement is to write down the measurement with the correct unit. Now, there's different ways we can measure things. Okay, so first of all, we get a ruler. Now, you know a lot about a ruler. It has 30 centimeters usually, or you get the smaller ones, but this one has 30 centimeters. Now on one side it gives you the millimeters, and on the other side it gives you the centimeters. Now there is 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. Now let's look quickly. Is there 10 lines in between 1 centimeter? Yes, so that is correct. Now let's go to the next one. There's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. Now for that you might need something like a measuring tape or a measuring band. Now let's see how long is a meter. 100 centimeters is 1 meter. That is a whole meter. Now you also get something that's called a meter stick. Now that is exactly a meter long. It's like a wooden stick. It's a flat wooden stick. It almost looks like a ruler, but it's just plain with no written things on it. So you usually use this to measure your length. A meter stick you will use maybe around a house, and to measure even longer, so longer than this, so something like 100 meters that equals 1 kilometer, you might use a measuring tape. Okay, so let's quickly look. We have a lollipop. Now we would use a ruler to measure a lollipop since it is small. This lollipop is 8 centimeters long. Okay, it is small enough to be measured by a ruler. Now if we measure your room, let's say we want to measure how long one wall against your room is. Now there would be too many rulers, and maybe you even make a mistake by moving it a lot, so it would be easier to use a measuring tape, and then we would rather write it in meters than in centimeters. Because let's say we wanted to write 10 meters into centimeters, we will then have 1,000 centimeters instead of 10 meters, okay, which is a little easier to understand. Okay, and then let's say we are driving from one town to another. It is easier to measure in kilometers because of the big distance and the big area that would then need to be measured, okay. Now let's have a look at the activities. Now, exercise 13.1 on page 68 is the first activity. You need to choose the correct word in the brackets for each sentence. So you're going to choose the correct unit. So to measure the length of a classroom, I would use what? Meters or centimeters? Now remember what I said? It's easy to use meters when it comes to a room. Okay, so that you can do. Question 2, 3, and 4 is pretty easy. Let's go to exercise 13.2. Use the suitable measurement instrument. Now, you're not going to measure. Actually, you're just going to tell me A, B, C, D, and E what unit you will use to measure the following. So, for example, A, measuring the length of your classroom. Once again, a room is easier to measure in meters. Okay, so then you'll say meters. And maybe the length of a book might be easier to measure with centimeters, since you have a ruler that is as long as your book, and then your pen, and then your table or desk. Now let's go to question 2. Complete each of these. Now this is easy because you have this. 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. But now there's a bit of a difficult one, which is D. Number 2, D. I want you to have a look at. Okay, because I'm going to show you how to do it. It's pretty easy. It's just to know how to do it first. Okay, so the question is, you have 1 meter. How many millimeters is in this 1 meter? Now, you don't have it there, but it's easy to figure out. So, in 1 meter, we know there is 100 centimeters. And we know that 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. Now the easiest thing, we have 100 centimeters. Now what we're going to do is we take the 100 centimeters, we times it by the 10, which will give you 1,000 millimeters. Okay, then this will be 1,000. So it's basically converting this 1 meter to millimeters. Okay, good. Now let's go to the next exercise. Exercise 13.3 on page 70. Now estimate these lengths. Now you are going to do this activity as follows. So you are going to write, like you usually do, exercise 13.3. Exercise 13.3, draw a line. Now they are asking you to estimate. So you're going to write down A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Okay, so A, B, C until H. Okay. Then you're going to do this. Then you're going to first look at the line. So at A, there is a long line. So I'm talking about the lines, the colored lines. You're going to first of all estimate. So I think that long red line is about 8 centimeters long. So then you're going to write 8 centimeters. Then you're going to make a comma. Now you're going to actually measure. You're going to take your ruler and measure that line. Oh, look, it is 7 centimeters. So you're going to estimate the answer. Your estimation will be incorrect. As you go further along, your estimation might get closer to the correct answer because you're going to get more used to how long it actually is. Okay, good. Now let's look at question 2. You can give an estimate of a length by rounding the measurements. Now you're going to round these lengths. Now it's going to be pretty easy. 365 centimeters, you're going to round off to the nearest 10 centimeter. Now I don't want you to worry about the units. Take away the units, just look at the numbers. 365, round it off to the nearest 10. It's easy. The units just might confuse you, but don't worry about the units, just fill them in. The first one will then be 370 centimeters. Remember to write centimeters. Then let's look at the last activity, exercise 13.4 on page 71. So you are going to start off by looking at these lines, and remember, look at the lines that you measured in question 1. Order the lines from the longest to the shortest. So you're going to say which one is the longest, and then which one was the shortest. So you're going to go from the longest to the shortest. Now, which one was the longest? It is G. Now you're going to look which one is the second longest. So that would be F, and you're going to continue until you get to the smallest line. Okay, to the shortest line. Question 2. Try to imagine a meter with your eyes closed. You're going to close your eyes. You're going to imagine a meter. Okay, so like I just showed you how long a meter is. Now you're going to say, at A, is your arm a meter long or not? So you're just going to say yes or no. You're just going to guess. Then you're going to say, do you think your arm is longer or shorter than a meter? Or is it exactly the same? At B. Then at C, you're actually going to measure your arm. And then at D, you're going to go ahead and the table that you work, you're going to measure your arm. Let's say your arm is 700 centimeters. You're going to measure your table and try and measure your table with your arm. How many arms can you fit into your table? Okay. Then at 3, for each pair of measurement, write down which length is longer. Now you're going to say which length is longer. And it's pretty easy because it's 303 centimeters. And 580 centimeters. So the units are the same, so it's easy. But at question 4, it gets more difficult. So the units are not the same. So first, you need to make the units the same. So like I just did here, you are basically going to do that for question 4. Now I'll quickly demonstrate. This is exercise 13.4, right? Now this is question 4. Now let's look at A. A is 35 millimeters and then 8 centimeters. Okay, so now you're gonna convert them to the easier one. So the easier one would be centimeters. Now you're gonna convert this. How do we convert? There's 1 centimeter for every 10 millimeters. Now you're gonna divide 35 by 10 to make it centimeters. So 35 divided by 10 equals 3.5 centimeters. Now, which one is bigger? It would then be 8 centimeters is bigger. Now, it's the same with the other units. You're just going to times them, okay, to make them smaller, or divide them to make them smaller. Okay. Now, let's have a look at question 5. Which question did you need to think more about in 3 or 4? Now, obviously, that would be 4 because you had to actually show your work. And then 6, arrange these lengths or distances in order from smallest to biggest. The distance from your home to your school, the length of your shorter finger, the width of a broomstick, and the length of a pen. Now, that is pretty easy. You don't even have to know. You can just imagine how long is the distance from your home to your school. It might be a couple of kilometers, right? Now, the length of your shortest finger is pretty small, right? So, then the width of a broomstick. Now, your finger will be first, then the broomstick, and then the length of the school. And then the last one, the length of the pen. Now, it will be your finger, the pen, the broomstick, and then the length of the school. So that is all that you have to do for math. So please remember, you can WhatsApp me at any time if you have any questions, or leave it for our Zoom session. And feel free to ask me any questions. Good luck.